Hello, good evening. Welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series. We are back again this week for the second race. And after another Joker win in Monaco, everyone is somewhat hoping that this week's Joker wins here in Spain for season 11. We're a long way up now. Season 11, round 7. And the first time the Cup Series is racing here in Catalonia on F1 2020. I'm your commentator, Owen Wyatt. With me in driver comms tonight is Jacko, and you're in there just because you want to drive the track, basically.
Yeah, you know what? Hello, everyone. I feel like it might just be the fact I've missed racing the layout or something like that. So I may only get as far as qualifying. If I end up doing rather well, then we'll see how things go. But yeah, it's who knows, Owen. But I will at least get a qualifying lap in. That's the goal for now.
Yes, well, it'll be a lap on the old, well, 2 layouts ago this track is, because obviously 2020 it was the last time F1 ran the layout with this sort of sharp turn 10 and then stupid chicane at the end. In 2021, turn 10 got widened to be a bit like a MotoGP corner, although that change wasn't reflected in F1 2021, because of course it wasn't. But then in F1 23 and in 2023 in real life, we did lose the chicane as well. So yeah, this is 2 layouts ago, basically, is my point. So this might catch drivers who haven't practiced much off by guard, but I feel like a lot of drivers have been practicing. I think they all know what they're doing. It's certainly nice to see the drivers are all very much to grips with the game now, so it should be an exciting qualifying session. And if I'm honest with you, this track never produced any good racing back in the day, so hopes are slightly low here, but who knows, this group of drivers can make anything happen, I suppose, as Florian comes out of the pits. I did mention we have one Joker tonight. We will talk about him later on, but the Jokers are very much a topic of discussion because, Jacko, it is 2 Joker winners in a row this season.
Yes, that is a first, I believe. It was certainly a first in the Cup Series. I don't know if we might have had a Cup and then a Kia winner, or a Kia then a Cup winner the same week. But Yuri Hazelaga, this time last week, victorious once again, and followed swiftly by Corey Dalton, winning in Monaco by another big margin. 16 seconds, I think, was both margins of victory. Of course, I wasn't here Tuesday. But yeah, first time the Cup Series has had back-to-back Joker winners. Some would argue it's because the second stage was favourable to them. And once again, we have that here in Spain. So let's see if we can make it a hat-trick, eh?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Obviously, as well, with Corey winning on Tuesday, that means that we don't have to worry about what if we get 12 different winners at the start of the season, because obviously only 10 drivers get into the playoffs. But with Johannes and Corey now on 2 wins, it means that we can get 6 new winners for the rest of the season, and we won't go over 10, which means all the winners from the regular season will be guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. As down into turn 1 and 2 comes Florian, we're right on board. And, well, the big buzzword tonight is going to be about tyres, really. I mean, obviously we do have our one Joker driver, but they will be struggling with the left-hand side tyres, I would have thought, and possibly even with overheating rears, thanks to the way the last sector is laid out. You've got to really send it into turn 5. I wonder how many drivers will be able to do that. You've got to really... It's one of those sort of corners you have to sort of take a V line into. I mean, it's not exactly ideal, but you've got to basically attack the apex well early, and it somehow gets the car right. It's a weird corner. Turn 9 is somewhat flat in qualifying, not as much in the race. We'll see how the drivers handle that. This is the old turn 10, as you can see, a lot slower, a lot more limited on traction, and a sharper turn 11 as a result. Expect to see problems there, perhaps, throughout the race. Then break it into 13, how horrible is this? Then 14 and 15, these are very high curves, easy to get the car unsettled. Luckily no sausage curve on the exit like we've seen in previous editions of this layout. And Florian goes P1. That isn't a joke about F1 24's bumps, but if you want to go with that, you can. For whatever reason, the cars like to fly up in the air on F124 in that section, but yeah, there was a sausage curb there in real life on the exit of 15, and luckily it hasn't been put on this game, because that would have just been a bit of a nuisance, really. So, first up on the board then, Florian, but on his mediums, and he's on them for a reason. Tony is very fast on this game. We are expecting him to be a front runner tonight, and he's going to try and qualify himself in the top 10 on some medium compound tyres. Pole position time to look out for. We've only ever had one qualifying session here in F1 2020, and as I said, it was Kia Series, but it was a pole time from Mike, and it was a 1 minute 15.505, which has been nearly matched already as Tony goes to the top. So look out for that 15.5. It was Mike, SD Mats, and Vitinho, the top three in that race as well, and they're all names that we know from the Cup Series. So I suppose it's like a sort of a faux Cup Series race. Just it was called Kia. It was only the second ever Kia Series race. Unfortunately, Robin has gone off at turn 12, and that's probably what's entered to turn 12, so it's likely losing the rear through turn 11. Shame we didn't see that happening on board, but expect to see, let's say, people struggling on traction there. But yeah, oddly enough, I thought there was a comment, Jacko, in the live stream for that Kia Series race. Since it was only the second one, it was sort of like a half and half Cup Series and Kia lineup. And Corey at the time was seriously, genuinely questioning why OKK was there, because of course he was a two-time Cup Series winner at that point in time. And it was very much.
Now's probably not the time to ask me, Owen. I will say.
Oh, sorry, you're not on the running order. I do apologise. You should have put yourself in the running order.
Very much at the end of the lap.
It's revenge for Portugal, this.
Oh my god, I'm so rusty, it's disgusting.
How different does it feel compared to 24?
I will say it's nowhere near as smooth as, like, say, 24. But also, I've not raced since last year at this point. Making excuses for myself. So, I feel like if you give us a few laps, I'd probably get back to it. Certainly not up to pace with the Cup Series boys, because they are faster anyway. But it's enjoyable. It's a challenge to come back to an old game, I will say. So I see why some of them have rightfully been complaining. But as I always say, the best drivers will just get on with it. That's what some of them have done.
Dustin's almost put it in the wall on the exit of turn 9. He's had a bit of a scruffy lap. He's unfortunately gone invalid, but yeah, sorry, lads, I didn't realise you were on your lap. No, I probably should have been looking. I was just expecting to have some dead air before Dustin's lap. But yeah, Corey was questioning OKK's appearance in the second Kia Series race, because he was a two-time Cup Series winner at that point in time. It was early 2021 when we had that race, and it's back when he was rated highly. So, hopefully he can get back to those times. He's not here though, is he, actually?
No idea why OKK. He should be joining shortly.
It's about to pick him up.
OKK. No idea why he would have been in Kia Series back then. Maybe, I don't know, because he was fast back, wasn't he?
That's what I'm saying. It was a bit of a half and half grid. I mean, like I say, the top three in that race was Mike, SD Mats, and Vitinho, who are all well-known Cup Series drivers. So, yeah. I just thought it was interesting. You don't get much of a chance to talk about the early Kia Series days, and yeah, it was the one and only time we had a chance to race on this track on F1 2020 and in F1 2021, because we didn't race here in the Cup Series on F1 2021 either. So it could introduce a bit more of a rusty sort of element for people who may not remember the old layout because they never had a chance to race on it in JACKOCAR if they weren't here in Season 1. And we did race there for, I think, round 4. So, yeah. I'm just manufacturing all sorts of interesting stats. You never know if the drivers might just get on with it. You'd hope they would by now. But anyway, Bazza coming through the last section, taking a few attempts to get into the last chicane. I saw you were really quite slow going in. Was it because of the curves? You're just not sure how the car's reacting to them? Because that's what I found when I came back to the game. I just didn't like how the car reacted to curves because it actually reacted to them.
So, like, the time of day is obviously where the sun is low enough. You can't see the curb for the first bit of the chicane. So I just misjudged it totally. And of course, I'm only 2 laps in at this point. So, yeah, that's why I was slow. I believe Ben Harrett is next on the lap.
Have you upset him? Because he's not here. He received his penalty for the antics in Monaco on the restart, which I did point out at the time was a bit odd that he'd gained 6 places. I was hoping he might get away with it because I thought, oh, he's been clever there. The game's letting him get away with it, but you did give him a penalty for it in the end.
And rightfully so. If you look at the footage, he is so far ahead of like Jake's countdown. Of course, the countdown is not reliable anyway because of lag and latency and all of that. But yeah, he's not here, is he? That's the first time I've noticed that. So perhaps it's a good idea that I'm racing because I probably missed something there. Mr. Driver saying they couldn't be here. I know Leroy's not here.
Yes, and Leroy, who finally got a good race last time out, which is nice in Monaco. I tried to keep quiet about his form, and it seemed to let him get on with it a little bit as Sullivan goes second fastest, 6/1000ths off the pace of Tony on those mediums. Only 2 or 3 more cars have to go slower than him, and he'll be starting the race on those mediums. That's a massive advantage, with the stage just being laps 10 and 27 tonight. Pete Knighton. He's at the start of his lap, which is nice. So, Jacko, I'm not really giving you a chance to talk through a lap yet, so feel free.
Oh, well, let me quickly find Pete Knight, and here he is in what I believe is turn 4 as I finally come on board of him. I was correct, actually. Of course, Pete Knighton had a very good start to the season and has dipped away the last couple of races. Still not the Pete Knighton that we've known for the last 8 seasons, though. He's certainly very, very quick still. So, is he invalid?
Yeah.
I don't have the map up, look. But yeah, maybe a return to form today in Spain, a proper racetrack. What can Pete Knighton do? But I guess we're going to move away from him, Owen.
Yes.
And go to the next man, who I believe will be Gareth Hall.
The only Joker driver this evening. Very exciting. I said on Tuesday, and I don't actually know if you even saw the stream or not, but I said, and I wonder if you agree with this, that I believe we're watching the fastest version of Gareth Hall. And having a Joker at this point in the season as he goes wide, he stays valid, but having a Joker here, actually I don't know if it's the best track for it, but he must be confident that he can get a podium tonight at least.
At least for sure. I mean, again, he's got a favourable stage 2 lap. Stage 2 pit stop, I should say. No, stage lap. Stage 2 lap. That's what I'm on about. God, you can tell I'm not in qualifying mode. But, yeah, that's favourable. And he's just seems quite good on this game. He's one of those, it's transferred from the new game to the old game rather well. And let's see what Gareth can do on this Joker. It would be so good for him to win tonight, especially with his current rivalry that he's managed to start up out of nothing with Johannes.
Mike there, almost 1.2 seconds off his pole time here in the Kia series, all the way back 4 years ago. So that's he'd be disappointed with that if he even remembers that lap. Of course, he probably doesn't. But yeah, it looked to me, by the way, that Gareth might have been doing that slightly on purpose, because he was all over the show in that last sector, and he wasn't on DRS out of the final corner either. So I am suspecting that there was a bit of manipulation to be outside the top 10, which makes sense, because you want to be doing, I suppose, medium to hard here, really, for a Joker, or hard to medium. And so you don't want to start in softs, as Jimmy Wright looks to be going fastest, and he is fastest, ahead of Tony, the first man to beat Tony's medium time, of course. So expect this time potentially to fall a little bit more. We'll find out.
I think you are right, though. Gareth's trying to do a Yori and qualify just perfectly in P11 like he did in Silverstone, and at the minute he is looking good for it, because as ever it's the fast guys that remain. The first of those, Owen, is Kieran Spears, yet to win a race in this season. Hasn't looked like it's going to come yet, and he's had a handful of laps, but you know, he will find a way to secure victory this season. You just know he will. He's like that lying little rat that every league has. Kieran Spears to the line. P4. Not quite P1.
He should be good for the top 10 with that, though, which on those mediums is good news. He'll be very pleased with that. We'll see how that lap time stands up. Only just over a tenth off Tony as well, which I think he'll be pleased with because a lot of people are expecting Tony to be fastest, and I am expecting Tony to be fastest. We've mentioned it before how good he was on these games back in the day. So yeah, we'll see if anyone else goes for mediums, having seen those 2 times from the Speed Boys. But here is our sort of find himself in no man's land the last 2 races with poor qualifyings or broken front wings or just all sorts of issues basically. And even when he was at the front, like I was saying, in Vietnam, he was like breaking himself while fighting for the lead, and just he'll say he's had a bit of a scruffy season. I think that was not a scruffy lap. However, he's gone to P1. Could we get into the 1 minute 14s before this qualifying session's out? I'm sure they'll be pushing for it. Did Ben Shaw get back in the lobby? He did, because we did see him leave earlier on. And I'll let you take him to the end of his lap.
Yeah, Ben Shaw on pole on Tuesday night in Monaco. Certainly not unexpected anymore. Now he's sorted his controller and wheel issues out. So maybe Ben Shaw, like the rest, is starting to regain the confidence and adapt to this game. The Season 8 champion, he liked Monaco. He came third. And in Spain, he's going to stop pole for now. And as Owen Wyatt says, he's into the 1 minute 14s. It leaves us with 4 to go. The first of those is Jori Hazalog, who's just kept it valid out of turn 9. A little bit of a wiggle as he comes down to the DRS straight into the heavy braking zone of what I believe is turn 10. I hope I'm correct.
Yes.
Back to Owen Wyatt. Another moment for Jori, though.
Yes, Jori, the first of our 4 race winners that we're going to see in the next few laps. Of course, winning on his Joker in Silverstone. At the moment, on 71 points as well for the season. He's a genuine 4th best driver so far, and he's 4th best driver in qualifying so far. You'd expect that time to be beaten. Kieran sits P7, only 3 cars to go. He will be 10th at worst. He'd be absolutely thrilled with that. Now, Johannes, he's had a difficult last couple of races. Silverstone finishing sort of lower down the field, and in Monaco having the incident with Gareth Hall, and in qualifying here missing the apex of turn 10, which I don't think will give him much in terms of lap time really. He's missing the apex into 13 as well. He looks like a man who's not really comfortable on this track as of yet. Maybe it'll come to him during the 33 lap race, but this lap time is not going to be at the front. He's gone 2nd fastest, which is better than he might have expected considering how many apexes he was avoiding during that last sector.
Yep, good recovery for Johannes in the end, because I was listening, you thinking, no, this is going to be somewhere around P8. Gara, the Joker, down in P12, so Baz has actually nicked the P11 slot as it stands, but of course there'll be 2 to go. Jake O'Sullivan, Corey Dalton, both race winners this season. Jake winning the opening race, the 3-time champion. Perfect start to his defence of the title, but he has not been near the front since. Well, he was teasing Corey in Silverstone, it must be said. And who won? Oh yeah, it was Joker, wasn't it? Of course it was. Joker went. I always forget these things. I'm getting too old, Owen. But Jake misses an apex there. And I don't know if the onboard view that you might be on shows how sunny it is there. That's what I was struck earlier. But round the final corner comes Jake O'Sullivan to the line. Ooh. P2. And another one into the 14s. What can Corey Dalton do? He's a man who's really winding himself up this season. And really, really at his best ever is Corey.
You're taking the words out of my mouth. As we said about Gareth Hall, you have to argue this is the fastest version of Corey Dalton as well, and isn't that just great to see drivers hitting their best form as we come onto these old games? Let's say we did worry about whether the drivers would buy into the idea of racing on F1 2020 again after so long, but not only have they taken to it, they've taken to it brilliantly. And Corey, a 2-time winner this season, he won the back him up. He is absolutely the favourite for the title as of right now. He's favourite for pole as well by half a second. Corey Dalton, what a lap that
that's insane. What a good lap that is, boy. So that, I believe, let me get you a stat there, Owen, it's only Corey's 9th career pole would you believe? He's never been a big one for the front row, but race wins, he certainly likes them. 2 already this season. He'll be looking for a 3rd tonight, and of course guaranteed playoff points already for the end of the regular season. Of course, the other ones joining him are Jake, Johannes, and Yuri. The rest, we should mention, is the club card shootout from here, round 7 all the way to the round 12.
Yes, club. How many playoff points do you get for the club card shootout? Is it like 6, isn't it? Something like
that. Yeah, I do believe it is 6.
So that's not really important at the moment, to be fair. And I've still not quite worked out who all the drivers are based on their AI pictures. So do you know what? We'll get to the end of the race and we'll figure out who's who. It's not really important until, well, later on, I suppose, during the chase duel, really, in the last 3 races of the regular season. So yeah, it'll be going on in the background, of course. But I can't believe that lap. I really cannot believe that lap that Corey has set, because we've seen it be so close so far this season. And even Johannes in the Twitter chats, he's very much impressed. And Jamie Wright as well. That's very much a statement, because he's set to break the 100 points barrier after just 7 races this season in the regular series. He's already got 23 playoff points. He's on 2 wins, and Corey absolutely on form. And he's going to start on pole ahead of Ben Shaw, Jake O'Sullivan, Johannes, Arnaud, Jamie Wright, Yuri, Tony on mediums, Sullivan on soft, and Kieran on mediums. These 2 laps, do not sleep on them. They are very impressive times. Expect them to be looking great on strategy in 8th and 10th on the grid. Florian P11, decent from him. I think we've seen him a bit lower than that so far this season, so it's good to see him there on strategy. Pole ahead of Mike, Baza, Gareth on the Joker. 3 seconds off, but that is not his real pace. He was deliberately slow to try and get into the bottom 10. Jacko, you're just behind him. And then Robin, Dustin, and Pete and OKK. OKK didn't get to do a lap, so we don't know his pace yet. And Pete invalidating his lap as well. We expected more from him. I take it it'll be a dry race, by the way. I know you had a chance to look at the weather.
Yeah. As if you think I had a chance to do that.
Well, you'll have a chance.
I'm just making my life easy for later on. So yeah, let's give you the live. Yeah, it's nothing unexpected. It's sunny all the way through, Owen. No chance of rain. Track 28 with air temperature of 21 degrees. A cool late January evening.
Lovely. Do you know what? It's good though, because in Monaco, I'm sure you might have seen it randomly in the last 2 laps. It was worse than Vietnam in terms of the fact that the rain just came so late that it might as well not have bothered. At least in Vietnam, it arrived with about 4 laps to go, and it caused chaos really in the last 2 laps. But in Monaco, it came with 2 laps to go. Granted, there were 1 or 2 accidents, but yeah, it was just random rainfall. We had to have a proper wet race this season. But yes, good. Staying dry this time. Nothing to worry about. And we're just awaiting the drivers to ready up, I suppose. Again, as Jacko already mentioned, the stages are laps 10 and 27. So drivers starting this race on softs will be struggling by the end of that 11th lap, which is when you can make your first pit stop. They'll be hoping for an early safety car, really, I think. What's your strategy screen saying about a medium to hard, for instance? Because I imagine that's what Gareth's going to be looking at. If you're able to have a look at it.
Yeah, so I am looking at it. It does say medium hard is optimal. I'm going 15 laps on medium, then another 12 on a new set, which takes me to lap 28, and apparently the fall off is going to be quite dramatic. Which,
even on mediums?
Might pay, even on mediums, which means it could be an exciting race, but it doesn't bode well for Gareth. So he needs to make his mediums last, stay out of trouble, and then hope the hards carry him. I mean, I'm riding him on the start, so we can try and avoid him to help his cause this evening. But I can't speak for the others.
Well, no one is starting on the hards. Obviously, the top 7 and Sullivan are starting on their softs. The whole rest of the field are on mediums. So,
It does make sense.
Assuming
Gareth's in the wall
already. Oh dear, that's not going to do his tyres any good. and that will affect the tyres a little bit, because you can't wear them on the formation lap. So Gareth not getting his Joker off to the most encouraging start. But
risky in the wall.
Oh yes, and Robin's off as well. What is going on here? And nearly hitting Gareth and Michael Okeke. I tell you what, he's had to put the brakes on then. But yeah, struggling on the formation lap already is not a good sign. But yeah, these softs really 5-6 laps in could already be in trouble. What is going to happen?
I agree with you. I think it could be a very interesting strategy race.
Yeah, I think you've picked a good stage laps for this, I think.
Yeah, unintentionally so. I just pick random numbers.
Yes. Well, there's a good random number generator this week. So yeah, I would be keeping my eye on Tony then in P8. We know how quick he is. He should have the confidence in the tyres. He'll be hoping for no safety cars during this first stint so he can take full advantage of the wearing soft compound tyres for the 7 drivers in front of him, and obviously for Sullivan as well. And Gareth, is he reversing? No, he is, yes. And Pete with him, so they must have had some sort of coming together, and they'll be put on the grid. That's a point I haven't thought about. The game
takes control of your car.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say.
I forgot that.
Getting disqualified from the formation lap, you actually do get put on your grid slot properly, right on the front of it, so it doesn't cost you as much as it would have done in 24, so maybe not the end of the world that they got disqualified there, but yes, the game does take control, maybe for better or for worse, I don't know, but anyway, Okeke's car lining up in last place, 19 drivers ahead, very long run down to turn 1, hopefully Jacko don't distract you too much, as we have 5 lights here in Spain. And boogity, 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 let's go racing. And it's a very, very long run, as I say, towards turn 1. So let's see what happens. It's already Jimmy Wright's onto the grass, and Corey's miles ahead. 3 wide behind for second place. And looks like Johannes is going to have a look on the inside of Ben Shaw. Jake, good move on the outside to hold on to second place. And in the end, the top 4 stayed in the same position they were looking like they were going to be on the run down. Arnold P5. And he's got a look on the inside of Johannes as a car off in the background. That's Dustin. Don't think he's got any damage, but he was spinning through the gravel. Arnold up into P4 ahead of Johannes, and now side by side Jamie Wright and Yuri battling away. Tony has stayed in 7th place. I think he'll be happy with that one to not lose out to Sullivan behind. Baza up to P10, and Kieran stays he's behind him, he's in P11. Whereas Gareth is down towards the back, he's in 17th place. Pete and Dustin as well back there, and Jacko making moves, exciting, but I don't think Mike's too happy with that. He sent it right back up your inside, and look at this fighting up the hill.
He went off first.
Oh, and he's going to hit OKK. You've broken his front wing, and off goes Gareth again. Well. And nearly a bit of a disaster on the rejoin. We didn't see that though, so it's fine.
I will say that was all Mike going off on the exit of turn 9. And then just typical Mike fashion, sending up the inside where he doesn't belong. Right.
The order's messing up again. I was wondering why only Yuri was falling down the order, but it is just the order messing up. And poor OKK. Wing broken on lap 1, speeding in the pit lane, 3-second penalty for corner cutting. He's been in this race for a minute.
He needs a safety car.
Baza, I think, has had an accident. The order's just messing me up, so I can't see it, but there he is. No damage, so maybe he's just had a spin and a nice wee flick spin to get back onto the track. Not much for style points here, but oh well, what can you do? Pete Knighton, you will notice behind you, Jacko, he's missing half his front wing.
I did gather that as he went awfully wide through turn 3, allowed me to go up the inside. I looked good for half a second, it was great. Back up to 15th behind the Joker, who is 4 seconds up the road, so I guess other things must be going on.
Yeah, a lot was happening in the midfield in that opening lap. I'm wondering if Pete maybe had something to do with Dustin spinning through turn 3. Obviously it's hard to tell at this early stage, but Gareth very much towards the rear of the field. He's a long way from the front, but no damage. I think he was maybe just trying to play it safe, but he needs to put his foot down now. He wants a safety car, I suppose, to close him back up. On to lap 3 now. DRS is enabled, but Jake O'Sullivan doesn't look like he's going to be getting any of it. Corey Dalton, 1.1 seconds ahead. Absolutely getting on with it, and he'll be very happy with how this is going so far. I think Ben Shaw would be relatively pleased as well. Like I say, as you mentioned, he had issues with his sort of calibration, didn't he? And that's why he was slow at the start of the season. Baku was a great pole position. Monaco was really an expected pole position, if you remember his form there in previous years. He was always a driver to look out for in this generation of cars. But now he's very much making himself a regular front runner. P5 in the championship, the highest driver without a win so far, and he'll be looking to try and take advantage of Jake, who is fighting for his life here to get within a second of Corey, but it's not going to happen. He's had a really poor run through turns 10, 11 and 12. Mike is fighting away with Kieran. That is medium versus medium, and it's Mike coming out on top in that scrap, and maybe trying to get back some of the form that put him on the top step of the podium here in the Kia Series back in Season 1, back in 2021, a very long time ago, but he knows he's quick here. And look at this, here comes Tony, going to get through on Jimmy Wright. Are we already starting to see the tyres starting to turn around? I'd be very surprised, but Tony looking like he wants to get on with this. Oh, who's that off? Like a bit of an off there for Jimmy Wright, but he's kept it going. And a couple of pit stops, and I think that's just for front wings. We're at the end of lap 3, so that'll be what these are for. Kieran, he was overtaken by Mike. That's because he was running with a broken front wing, so he's onto the hards now. Risky's been in the pits as well, getting rid of those softs. These are not mandatory. Well, they are mandatory stops, so they can do whatever they want. And the thing is, actually, I do wonder if Corey keeping this 1.5 second advantage is maybe going to cost him, because I wonder if Jake is going to see the car in front and just think, right, I'm not going to catch him, I'm not going to get this playoff point, let's get into the pit early and make an undercut on him, and then he'll have to make a decision, do I stay for the playoff point? That pit stop call might come a few laps from now. I think it's probably a little early to go for it straight away. They'll be judging that off Tony's pace, I would have thought, as he gets DRS on those mediums, closing up to Yuri Hasselager, passing Yuri Hasselager up to P6 now, and he's got about 3 seconds until he catches the train from Johannes up to Jake, and that'll certainly be his goal. Catch those guys up before they have a chance to pit. And they don't want to pit too early, as we mentioned, the tyres do fall off here. I mean, they'll be looking at that lap 10 as that sort of time to pit, really, because any earlier than that you'll be struggling to sort of make any sort of pace towards the end, I would have thought. Jimmy Wright is closing back up to Yuri now after his little moment, so Yuri perhaps actually the one struggling for pace out of the two. He's almost fallen out of DRS of Tony as well, so keep an eye on how their progress is going. Robin, having had his lap taken off him in qualifying for his off, or it wasn't actually, he was 11 seconds off pole, so having just ruined his lap here, he's on the back of the fight between Florian and Mike, so hopefully we can see him get some good racing done today, as Ben Shaw does make the early pit stop. So this will be interesting to see. Is it going to be mediums? Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be a new set of softs? It's going to be mediums. Can he go medium to the end of this? He's got to go. He's got to go 23 laps on these tyres. That feels like it's way too much, doesn't it?
That is very ambitious, it feels. Not that my tyres have gone off yet, but 23 laps on mediums around here. He's going to do a bloody good job to get them there. Maybe he's hoping for a safety car and then a short stint on softs, because it is JACKOCAR. A safety car wouldn't be surprising, but he's come out ahead of me, 3 seconds in front. So let's see what Ben Shaw can do, Owen.
Indeed. I'll be interested to see then, will this trigger other pit stops at the front? Because let's say, I suggested the idea, I didn't think they'd go for it. I'm still very much with the camp. They're thinking, go till lap 11 and make the first pit stop, because then at least your mediums will last until the end of the second stage. It's why I suggested, was he going to go on hards? But he's gone mediums. Corey's now gone for the pits, so he's not going to let himself get undercut. Jake is staying out, and the game, in fairness, is calling this this lap, the pit stop lap, but that's probably assuming it's going to go medium and then another medium on lap 20 or something, not lap 28. So, unsurprisingly, Corey and Arnold have gone on to hards. So they've gone for the earlier stop. It means they have to go on hards. Will Jake move on and go for a later stop? But will that enable him to go medium? That's the question. And will Ben Shaw's mediums last him? Will it get him up ahead of Corey? I feel like Ben Shaw's got this wrong, but we'll find out. I'm sure he's done some practice. He must have some idea of what he wants to do for the strategy. But they didn't find out, the drivers, the stage laps, until 1 minute to 7. So they wouldn't have had a chance to work that all out.
Whose fault was that then?
Well, we'll find out how Sullivan feels about it as he comes past on the inside of yourself. It's very clean racing for JACKOCAR.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin another person's race, as I'm about to wash wide anyway. Let's see if I can get him back on the main straight. But I just feel 2-3 months out of this game, just like racing in general, it does make a difference. The rest of them, they sort of race over Christmas, some of them, and then they've obviously been racing the rest of the season and in other leagues. It's amazing how quickly you lose all your talent.
Oh, Dustin's put it in the wall on the exit of turn 5, but only lost half the front wing. Jacob Sullivan, the race leader, is going to come up to this, but he hasn't had any problems. And look at this, out of the pits, Johannes and Arnold fighting away, both on hards. Yuri pitted for hards as well. So everyone who's pitted so far out of the soft runners have gone onto hards, apart from Ben Shaw, who's on mediums. Corey, though, has now caught the back of Gareth Hall. This is important because if he gets past Gareth Hall, then that already potentially spells the end of his chances of winning this race on the Joker. Gareth Hall, I'm sure he wouldn't have been going into the race expecting a win, would he? He wants a sort of top 5 or something. That's what they all really hope for when you're sort of a midfield driver. But still, how hard is Gareth going to make this for Corey? And how much is this going to give Jake O'Sullivan in terms of his overcut delta? Because I would have thought it's going to give him quite the advantage as he pits now. Jamie Wright pits as well. Tony will stay out and he will win the first stage in a few laps' time on those mediums. He's about sort of 8-7 seconds ahead of Mike, so it's more than enough of a gap to win that stage. But let's see where Jake O'Sullivan comes out. He's come out a long way back, and Gareth has been overtaken by Corey. Big move from Corey. That might be the race winning overtake. It's vital he got past Gareth as soon as possible. Jake is now behind Johannes and Ben, so he has lost a little bit there, but he is on hards as well.
Oh.
Noises from Jacko, and Tony picks out a 3-second penalty.
Yuri had a moment in front of me in the middle of turn 2, but managed to come off the gas and correct it and kept himself in the race. So I'm now being hunted down by Bazza. Obviously Yuri on the freshest tyres and leading the train, so you expect him to pull away. But the medium still seem to have a little bit of life left in them in the battle for P12.
Ben Shaw, the inside of Gareth Hall, up into P5. But really it's net P2 in the race. The medium runners then, how long are they going to go for? Because it's actually nearly 11 seconds the lead that Tony has over Mike. So that gives him a bit of a buffer for when Corey presumably gets past Florian and Mike. Jacko, have you caused yellow? Yes, you have.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Let's talk
Too
about
much on the exit.
Let's talk about Johannes then. He's overtaking Gareth Hall, and Corey is overtaking Florian. So they're making the moves that they need to, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to overtake cars on this game because of dirty air and general washout you get when you are behind drivers in fast corners. Also just known as dirty air. I don't know why I didn't stick with dirty air, but the point is, as you've experienced, Jacko, if you're following through, say, turn 9, you will have less downforce. It's not easy.
Absolutely not. And I wasn't even like super close, and I was affected by I think it was the wash of Yuri or Risky at the time. It's just easily done. If you're not paying attention, you can lose that much time. But anyway, change for me, if you're wondering.
I'm watching Corey Dalton making a bit of a late move that was on Mike, but again, it had to be done as off goes Florian, and side by side, look at this, we got Johannes getting through on Florian as well, so they're making the moves here, but Gareth, I thought he disappeared. Gareth's been off, and he's lost half his front wing, well, I say half, he's lost his left end plate, so this Joker really is not working out for him. But that all happened for sort of turn 11-12, it was all over the show, as the drivers just have to force their way through the not back markers, but the lawn running drivers in this first stint, and for the most part they're doing a great job of it. As Corey is now fully clear of traffic, as is Ben Shaw. Johannes will be next to achieve that when he gets past Mike, but he won't do that for at least a few more corners. Tony, as I mentioned, has won the first stage, but he's nearly had an accident coming through the chicane there at 7 and 8. He may have hoped I wasn't watching that, but that looked a bit dicey. Or was that Jacko I was watching? It might have actually been Jacko I was watching, but we're going to pretend it was Tony who definitely had that snap.
Is that Tony behind me, is it?
Yes.
So would Gareth appreciate if I held Tony up?
Not really. How far is he behind? Gareth is currently 20 seconds behind Tony, so not going well. He's also got half a front wing, so I think Gareth's race is over pretty much in terms of anything really. He needs a safety car, then that'll put him back in play. Corey is once again doing a great job here to, one, be closing the gap on Tony, although you'd expect that on newer tyres, but more importantly, to be keeping Ben Shaw out of DRS range. Considering Ben has got a softer compound tyre, you would expect he'd be able to catch up, but he's only around the 1 to 1.3 range. He's just not able to quite get under the 1 second gap, so it's good work from the pole setter once again. Now Jake and Arnold are very, very close to each other, but that's because they're stuck behind Mike, who's been overtaken by Johannes. And Mike will let Jake through, he will let Arnold through as well, so that was very sportsmanlike, wasn't it? Letting through his two teammates at a very convenient spot on the exit of turn 6. Fair play, I suppose. And Arnold just weaving about there, showing Jake he's there still. And again, we know him for his dive bombs this season, really. He's not really done much else, unfortunately. Things haven't quite gone his way, but we know he can send it late on the brakes if he needs to. So we'll follow his progress with interest. So when's Tony going to pit then? Because this is important for Ben to know as well how long Tony goes, because we're expecting him to have to go, Ben, 23 laps on a set of mediums. Tony's currently on his 13th lap on these mediums, and he's running around a tad slower than Corey on 5-lap old hards, which would suggest that there's not really much of a fall off actually on these tyres so far. So yeah, we'll see how far he can go. But if he goes far enough here, Tony, it could end up being 2 runs on the softs to close this race out. If he gets another sort of 5-6 laps on these, then you know it could turn into quite an aggressive strategy. Oh, hello. That's,
wow.
That's not the track.
No, there's a.
Oh,
and
we've
that's
lost,
not me that's retired.
Well, I think the pit lady's retired as Dustin, so not going to cause any problems for any drivers out there. Tony, 13 laps is his limit on those mediums. Wow. I think Ben might have his head in his hands saying this, because on top of that, Tony's now pitting for hards. So he's not even going to go for another set of mediums. Maybe he'll do that for the last then, or a set of sauce. You would have thought it'd be a set of sauce, so he doesn't even want to do 2 runs on mediums. So, you may only get 1 set, mind you. Maybe that's what it is. But still, out of the pits comes Tony. He's going to be P6. But he has the freshest tyres of those top 6. Let's see if he can make any inroads. 5.6 to catch Arnold. Ben still just 1.1 behind Corey, who's having everything his own way so far in this race. And you're going to give him some DRS here, though, Jacko, so that might give Ben a little bit of encouragement. It may even liven the race up a tad. Saying that, you're not going to sit on the... You're not going to block him on the racing lines. That's probably going to have undone all the work. But oh well, we had a small bit of hope. He's lost all the time he gained. Oh dear.
It's because he's got a black car. Like the dial is black, so you can't see it to know where he is.
Wouldn't it be great if you had mirrors or something, or a way to look back behind you?
Yeah, imagine that.
You know,
that'd be unbelievably helpful.
It would be really nice, wouldn't it? Why is no one doing anything? Can someone please make this race interesting? I've tried. I've really tried, Jacko.
Would you like him to crash?
Maybe not. I don't want to manipulate the race.
That is manipulation at its best, yeah.
Yeah. But we've got some just very unfortunate field spread. Basically, the only two cars anywhere near each other at the moment are Mike Kelterborn and Florian Meyer. And actually, Robin as well, but this is a fight for 12th. And it's a fight that Mike should really be winning because he's on these new mediums, and indeed he is winning that fight. And Jack just letting more cars through there. That's not a real yellow flag. Johannes has picked up a 3-second time penalty. These penalties for him they're starting to become a sort of a feature of his driving. We saw it in Monaco as well, where if he hadn't got the penalty, he might have been able to finish second despite the damage he had in his front wing. And another penalty here could demote him to P5 from a P3 that he's currently holding quite well. So yeah, that'll be worth keeping an eye on as the season progresses. Will these penalties become a problem for Johannes? Currently sitting third in the points, although he does have 2 wins this season. So yeah, we'll follow that really. Jake is in DRS of Johannes, but he seems to have no interest really in fighting. I think he's pretty happy with where he is, to be honest. Oh, another moment for Jacko.
Yeah, it's safe to say, Owen, I am officially washed.
Yes, I agree. As Jimmy Wright comes past, it must be nice for Jimmy Wright to see another car from broken front ring rather than his own for once. Running P8. It's been a relatively uneventful day for him, but he probably doesn't mind that really after the way his season's gone so far. Sets P8 in the standings as well. So that, I was saying that, he's only 2 points ahead of Pete Knighton, who's in 11th, so it is quite tight in there. Mike and Gareth are in that gap too, but he's ahead of all of them at the moment, so he will be getting himself a bit of breathing space. Spot that he's hoping for in the regular season. You can see Rescue in front of him as well. That's overtaking. Gareth, by the way, on his 15-lap old mediums, he's still going, but he has that front wing damage. So he needs a safety car to basically come. I mean, at any point between now and lap 27, really. And that would all of a sudden put him in a winning position, effectively. So not all hope is lost, but he does find himself basically sat waiting and hoping for the best. A bit like Yuri was in Silverstone. Although I have to say, Yuri did lead Silverstone on his Joker for periods before he got his lucky safety car. This is not the same, really.
This is the end of an era.
Oh dear.
I think that is my career over as a driver.
Ah, that's nice.
What a sad time. On stream as well. Didn't even get to announce it. Like with a special tweet saying this is the end. But never mind. I'll take those last 10 seconds as my moment as I officially retire from competitive esports racing. That is the end. I can't do it anymore, Owen. These guys are so fast.
It's not even like a dignified ending. He's just given up. He's just given up live on stream. That's all that's happened there. Oh dear.
No, I don't think it's ever happened, has it?
Oh dear.
Not like that. Damn.
Pete Knighton has
Anyway,
been
I'm
lapped,
back.
unfortunately. He's been lapped while you were retiring, so don't really know when he's managed to fall this far behind, but yeah, he's last by a long way. I mean, Okeke has a whole pit stop on him, and he had to change his front wing on the first lap, didn't he? So I mean, he must have had 2 or 3 extra trips to the pits as Pete. He's been in 3 times, so yeah, whatever's gone wrong for him today, it's very much not his finest performance. As he sits P11 in the standings, he's got 10 points over Sullivan, so he probably wouldn't fall too far back. But yeah, a day he probably would be wanting to forget, really. Even if he gets a safety car, he's so far behind. He's got penalties and all sorts, so it's just not really happening for him. Gareth is just painfully slow as well. The front wing damage really is not helping his case here whatsoever, and he's just sort of he's struggling because I mean he was about 5 or 6 laps ago he was fighting Mike on track, and now Mike's caught a whole pit stop up on him. I think Jack is having a moment here just to reflect on his career.
What a whirlwind. I was actually trying to catch up with the lap sled, as it happens. Did you want me to say something?
Yeah, I don't know what there is to say really. I was just saying about how Gareth's race skill, and he's finally now pitting, having realised what I've realised is that Mike pitted 5 laps ago and he's caught a whole pit stop up on him. And it's going to be a new set of hard compound tyres, and now it's basically who fancies giving him a safety car because he needs one badly. He's not under any threat of being lapped. He'll still be. Corey's going to be coming through the starter set of 3 now, so that's not a worry for him. If he gets a safety car, puts him back in play.
Corey will be loving all these lap sled, won't he?
Oh yes.
Obviously, they don't mean anything anymore, but the fact that he's coming every week and winning races, dominating races, this is what he used to do, Owen. He loves it. And another one here goes by, lap 19, and Corey Dalton more than halfway to winning this Grand Prix. But it's nice to see that Ben Shaw's very much in the fight. Like I say, that correction he made with his controller, it has certainly helped him out. But I think 2.7, the gap is, that's just Corey being comfortable, isn't it?
I know, but I was just going to say it was at this point that Tony decided to pit off his mediums, and well, Ben hasn't got the luxury for another 8 laps, and he's dropping off the pace quite rapidly now, and he's low on fuel, which just adds to the problems. He's got no ERS left, but not many people do. Once again, it's Jake who seems to be saving the most out there, along with Arnaud, but Arnaud sort of dropped away from the back of him as well. So we'll see Johannes and Jake potentially reeling Ben in the next few laps. It's not like he's running slow or anything, but I think in the last sector it's probably where he'll be struggling in the next few laps, just because of how tight and twisty it is and how much you rely on the rears for the traction and the fronts for your turning. And it's just, I know it sounds very basic, but it'll be feeling it as he comes through. Let's see what his lap is. How far is it? It's 2/10 off his best, so it's not fallen off yet, but that means that Corey's comfortably running around quicker than Ben Shaw's fastest lap every lap, which is quite impressive, really, isn't it?
Just says enough, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like I say, it's just so good this season. What can you say? And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go away again and see if I can work out the last time a driver won 3 races in the first 7, or ever won 3 races in 7 in a row. Of course, Pete Knighton and Kyle Smith certainly have, but who's got near it? Well, I think actually Jake O'Sullivan won 3 of 5, didn't he? But that was over 2 seasons most recently. See what I can do for you.
Would Corey himself have managed that? There was not a season he had 4 wins. Did they not all come relatively close to each other?
Corey's wins have been very spread out over the years. He's never had a real patch, other than where was it? Wasn't last season. Sorry, yeah, it was season 8. Sorry, 9. He won 3 out of 4. Excuse me, and then dropped off. He won 4 races in that season, by the way.
Yes. So this is interesting then. Corey is setting basically the exact same lap times as he was at the start of his stint. Ben has decided that these mediums are not going to make it to lap 28, and so he's going to go for a quick stint on the softs. Now, if he gets a safety car in the next few moments, same with Risky, that will be good news for him, because it will close him right out to these guys on hards, and he may have a chance of jumping them before the second mandatory stops. So, curious tactics. I'm still not entirely sure this is working, but well, Ben's going aggressive now. He sort of has no choice, I don't think, as Florian came out just behind Sullivan, so Sullivan should be able to pull away and try and catch up to Mike and to Kieran, etc. But there's not really much they can do. They're just, I don't think they're going to be quick enough. Corey's still going round in 1 minute 18s. Johannes has just gone into the 1 minute 17s with his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race. So has he been hiding a little bit of pace there, or did he perhaps pick up some DRS detection off of the pitting Ben Shaw on the last lap, and that might have just given him a bit of a boost down towards turn 1. Either way, he's going
like
quickly.
Johannes feels like, from my perspective, he's had quite a quiet race, but he does find himself with penalties and being challenged by Jake by the looks of it as well. So I think you might be right. It's just a little bit of DRS assistance there. But now Jake O'Sullivan is very much in that same DRS window of Johannes. Maybe a move on the way.
Just riding on board with Ben Shaw as he goes 4/10 quicker than his previous best for the first sector. He has basically no ERS left, so basically all that's advantage will be in the corners. And you can see the grip he's got. It's not quite qualifying speed, but it's not far off it. He could be in the 1 minute 16s by the end of this lap, as he goes nearly a second quicker through the middle sector. And this should actually be where he gains the most time, realistically, shouldn't it? Through the final sector, but the problem he's got is that he's got to somehow catch a pit stop to Corey if he wants to be up at the front again, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Tony, on his slightly fresher hards compared to the guys in front of him, he's now gone with the fastest lap, and that was with no DRS, I don't think. Not quite in the 16s for Ben Shaw. That's simply not fast enough for his strategy to work, and I suspect Tony may actually have had DRS at Pete Knighton, as he understeered wide out of turn 3 on this lap. But that may be where his lap came from. But yeah, Ben, running around the 1 minute 17s. Botched the strategy is what I'm going for here, unless he gets a safety car. And I just don't think we're going to get one. Everyone's very spread out at the moment, so they're all behaving themselves very well indeed.
Yeah, I think you were right, Owen, earlier about this being a boring race.
Yep.
Spot on.
I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad I've not lost my touch. But yes, it's just a hideous. It's just a hideous track layout. It's just shocking. We don't know how good we have it now with the Spain we currently have. Granted, we're losing Catalonia this year, aren't we? Because we're replacing it with Madrid with 2026, and yeah. Oh well. If it wasn't this rubbish track layout for all these years, people would like the track. And the new layout's not particularly special either. So, yeah. With any luck, this might be the last time I ever have to look at this track. On the game, anyway.
You know what? All the talk about Season 9. Season 9? Sorry, Season 12. If we do go to it, I promise I won't put Spain in there.
Yeah. I think the drivers will agree with you on this one after this race. This is just rubbish. And I should be nicer to this track.
We have to apologise to the Dua Lipa fan club.
Yeah. Yeah, poor you lot. I mean, I don't even... Sorry, I suppose. The thing is, I should like this track, really, because this is where I got my first ever league racing win in the ILR days, because I got what Gareth Hall's looking for and what Ben Shaw's looking for. I got a lucky safety car, not quite at this time in the race, but I think Brandon, who you'll remember from racing here a while ago, he was on hards, I think, and I was on mediums, and I got a safety car and I was able to do him, I think, on the restart, and I won the race. Or it was I was ahead of him because I pitted under the safety car and then he couldn't pass me after I'd locked into it. Effectively, I locked into it, but even then, I still don't like this track. But that was 8 years ago that now. So, you know, you've had your time, Catalan. It's time to go away.
Would you like some good news?
Yes.
Jake O'Sullivan led 2 laps earlier. Those 2 laps put him onto 500 all time.
Nice, good for him. To be fair, actually, that's quite impressive considering he never won a race until the Championship 5 in Season 5. Yeah. So he's been racking him up. There is a little bit of fighting on track, by the way. We have a risky passing Mike, and Kieran's caught the back of Yuri. So something's actually happening. Happy days. Kieran, who I'm surprised his strategy's not really worked out like at all. Because he was relatively near Tony's pace in qualifying, but I know he had to change the front wing earlier. Maybe that's what's done it. But he's nearly 30 seconds behind Tony now. So even without that, I think he just seems a bit slow today, which I think he'll be disappointed by. But if he can get past Yuri at least, it'll be something. And those hards probably will be feeling all that good now, being 22 laps old at the end of this lap. But we'll see if he can make the overtake, as Yuri just lets him go. Okay. Is that for some DRS? That's for some DRS. Being cheeky is the race winner from Silverstone, and he's gonna blow by. And look at that. Kieran really didn't like that, and he nearly had him into the grass there. Wonder what that's all about. He seemed very unhappy to see that go down. Did he feel that Yuri had braked? Well, he'll say, if he wants to complain about it, oh, Yuri brake checked him, but he did sort of move over to the left and let him go through. So, I mean, he could have also put the brakes on. I think it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. But anyway, that's them scrapping over P8 on the road. We're now on that 27.
By the way, Corey's...
So,
Corey's lost 7/10 of a second on this lap to Johannes.
Well,
maybe the tyres are finally gone.
He was caught behind OKK. I do wonder if perhaps he was just trying to fish for some DRS as he wins the second stage. And surely he'll be heading to the pits on this lap. And Johannes 2.6 behind. There'll be no undercutting here. I think we'll see all these top 5 into the pits on this lap. We'll probably see the whole top 6 in. Ben Shaw. Yeah. I'm at a loss as to what that strategy call was all about, really. I don't know how he thought that was going to work.
Did he not do the same in Monaco, like a silly pit stop? Or no, it was Silverstone, wasn't it? Just
I don't remember.
The wrong tyre, definitely the wrong time. Bot strategy, something he's not been too good on this season, and sure, but the pace is certainly there.
Look,
now on to 3 poles.
Kieran's going to have more contact there with Yuri for turns 1 and 2, and they may well be fighting all the way to the pit lane as well. They're fighting pretty aggressively out there. So I don't know who's upset who here, but it feels a bit more aggressive than we'd usually see between these two. But anyway, pit stops time, I suspect. Corey's not pitting, so Johannes will go for the pits. Jake will go for the pits. Arnaud will go for the pits. Obviously, with Johannes' penalty, Corey does have a bit of a grace period here. He can have a horrendous end lap and he'll still be absolutely fine. Tony is staying out. Worth pointing out, if a safety car comes out still at this point, they can take that pit stop under the safety car. So I mean, I suppose you've got nothing to lose by sticking out there, which is what Ben Shaw will also do. And I suppose Corey can goal hind for it as well. Like I say, he'll have about 3 or 4 seconds of a sort of buffer here to do whatever he wants to do. As Johannes back out onto the track. Jake 2.5 behind. He's lost about a second in the pit stop phase. Arnaud 3.6 back, and then the rest in the pits as well. Kieran following Yuri. I'm hoping they aren't sharing a pit box, and they aren't, so that means hopefully we'll see a continuation of their scrap when they come out of the pits, because they were certainly fighting like crazy before. And look at that, nose to tail on the way out. I wonder if Kieran might try and sneak past him. He's looking, but I think Yuri's going to block that off. But yeah, Kieran, no matter what he does, he just can't get past here. As Corey comes into the pits, will Tony stay out and just try and goal behind? We do have a yellow flag, but I think that's for OKK, who's picked up a front left puncture. That's tyre wear. That is 19 laps on a set of mediums, and it's gone in the final corner. So he has to do a whole lap now with a puncture. And if he hits a wall in a big enough way on this lap, it will bring a safety car out.
Johannes takes the lead as well.
Yes, not a surprise, I don't think. I think he knew Corey, he had the buffer. Now the problem would be, what if he then goes and gets himself a penalty for exceeding track limits? Which is what I'm going to check for now. Corey has only had 1 warning, so as long as he doesn't pick up another 2 in the next 4 laps, this will not be an embarrassing loss of the race. What tactics are we going to see? Is there any sort of team play that they can do? You know, the top 3 are all different teams, and Arnoud's too far behind to help Jake out. Not that he'd really be able to. So it's 3 different teams in the top 3 positions. So there'll be no mucking about with this. Corey's got about half a tank of ERS here, so as long as he just stays calm and composed, which he's been doing all race, this shouldn't be too bad. And it shows, I suppose, as well, the goal handling for the safety car. He wouldn't have been able to do it for many more laps. I think that was about as far as he was able to push it. As OKK continues to struggle on that front left. Like I say, it's just purely tyre wear. I think at the very least Ben will be happy that he pitted when he did, even though he'd got the wrong strategy, because at least that didn't happen to him. Corey failed to get past Johannes on that lap. Will he play any games, I wonder, with Corey? Is he the type to do that? Will he try and pressurise his rival into a mistake? I mean, the race wins on the line here. They're pulling away from Jake O'Sullivan. If I'm Jake, I'll be doing everything I can to get within 3 seconds of Corey, just in case things do go wrong for the pole sitter. Because he could nick a win that he maybe wouldn't have been expecting. And Corey,
certainly not one he deserves.
No, not with the.
It's been Corey's race, hasn't it? All the way through this.
Oh,
so 3 laps to go.
look at the sliding and that for Corey. I mean,
I know.
He just has to keep it calm. I mean, he's nowhere near abusing the track limits or anything like that. So he doesn't have to pass Johannes or anything. He knows how to win a JACKOCAR race. And sometimes
it might be one of those.
Just sitting and doing what you need to do will work. By the way, I just want to say, the fight for P8 has now got a 3rd car involved. It's now got Sullivan Lewis, and they're fighting extremely hard. But up at the front, did Corey get that done?
Risky off.
No, has he gone off? You're kidding me.
Yeah, so it's back to a 2-car fight. And Kieran still can't get past Yuri. I sense a bump and run on the final lap, don't you?
Oh, yes. As Florian picks up a penalty. That's what Corey's hoping not to do. I'm just going to quickly check the race director again, just in case Corey's picked up any more warnings. No, he's keeping it nice and clean. So he's got 2 laps, so he can afford 1 more free track extension. And then if he gets another one after that, then he's in trouble. Well, look at the weaving we're going to see here. But for Yuri Hasselager, has he got any ERS to counter Kieran Spears? He's looking on the inside. He's still looking inside. It's been blocked off by Yuri. And round the outside now goes Kieran. He can't make it through. He's going to try and switch it back through. Oh, look at that. Losing the rear end is Yuri. And there's just no way through for Kieran. Oh, there's just nothing he can do. Absolutely nothing.
That brings us on. Great battle. It brings us on nicely to what you wouldn't believe. It's 1 lap to go in Spain here in JACKOCAR as Corey closes in.
He's going to risk
it. On the race win on track. You know he is. Corey Dalton to the right to lead the race. And through he goes. Johannes Meles will have to settle for P2 as Jake falls away even further. But it's the race that Corey deserved to win. Nobody else had their hands really on it. and that's a good move, well made. Hopefully he can win this one on track. Obviously one more DRS zone for Johannes. I'll let you take to the end as Corey approaches what would be his 14th Cup Series race win.
Yes, let's forget about him for a, for a moment, because Kieran nearly sent it on the inside of turn 10, but Yuri was absolutely covering it off. This fight was still got one more thrilling lap, thank goodness. And round the final corner again, Kieran's a bit further behind this time. And Yuri, like I say, he's got that penalty. He's going to lose the place anyway. He's just fighting for pride. Here comes Kieran Spears running outside of turn 1, locking up. Here's the chance, but look at that, being pushed off the road. That's a track extension. And Gareth pulls off the road, by the way. That's not the leaders, but Kieran pushing Yuri round turn 3, but flying round the final corner to take the checkered flag for the second time in a row, for the third time this season. Corey Dalton, he really never looked like he was going to lose that race, did he? Ahead of Johannes and Jake. I'm seeing yellow flags for Tony, so he's going to lose position to Ben Shaw. But you know what I'm going to go to. Well, what's happening in the fight for P8? That's what we all want to know. Risky's back in it. He's in within DRS, but Yuri, he's going to defend inside once more, and Kieran has to send it round the outside, late on the brakes. Yuri's not going to let him through. Look out for Sullivan Lewis. Oh! He's going to get through on Kieran. Oh, Kieran. He's way off the road. He's losing out to Mike as well, and they're fighting side by side. What took you all so long? This is brilliant racing. And Kieran just ahead of Mike. And I can only into the gravel. Kieran. No! Oh my goodness. Oh, imagine if Yuri beats him by 3 seconds. Oh, he'll be so angry. I think Kieran will end up ahead. Risky. Oh, he'll take that in PA. But anyway, yeah, sorry. Back to the order. Corey, Johannes, Jake, Arnold, Ben, Tony, Jimmy Wright, Risky, Kieran, Yuri, Mike, Florian, Robin, Baza, who's that? Pete, Gareth, and OKK. And I tell you what, I'm surprised Kieran never picked up any penalties, considering how many corners he didn't take in that last sector. But yeah, that was at least they tried to have a fight, and it was exciting for a few laps. What a surprise!
Sure was. But yeah, 3 wins in 7 for Corey Dalton. That one is probably the most comfortable he's had all season, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. It all came from that pole lap. I think that would demotivate anyone, seeing someone go that fast in qualifying. And yeah, coming up on top again. Gareth was complaining in the chat again because it's the second race in a row that the leaders have come up to him, the faster cars anyway, have come up to him, and it was Jake who caused the damage this time. It was hard to really catch it on the stream, but Gareth is not a happy man with Jake O'Sullivan, and that's rare because normally it's Jake picking fights with other drivers. But anyway, that's not my problem. So, Corey in the order again. Johannes, Jake, Arnold, Ben, Tony, Jamie, Risky, Kieran, Yuri, Mike, Florian, Robin, Baza, Pete, Gareth, OKK, and then the retirement yourself, Jacko, and Dustin. And, yeah, Jake hasn't even got a clue what Gareth is talking about, so this might go on for a bit, this argument. Ah, thank God that's over. What a rubbish track.
I assume you said that and it's still on stream as well, right?
Oh yeah, what a rubbish track. Anyway,
yeah. You know what, I was all excited earlier to have a go at it, and I lasted 15 laps. I was like, no, I can't keep up this, it's ridiculous.
Well, luckily,
there you go. Rubbish.
Luckily next time we're at a good track, and it'll be Throwback Tuesday rather than Throwback Week, unless the drivers fancy keeping their liveries for the Thursday race as well. They might want to. But yes, next Tuesday, the 4th of February, we will be in Belgium for the throwback race. It should be very exciting. We all love Belgium.
Owen.
What?
Let me correct you. It is actually throwback week. Both races are throwback races.
Okay, good. That's good, because it says on my calendar it says on my calendar Brazil isn't, but I did suggest hopefully they would keep the liveries anyway, but that's good. They're being made to.
Or they can
change. Yeah.
Different one. Yeah.
So so it will be throwback week to start off the month of February, and yes, I mentioned it on Thursday, but that is on Tuesday. That is 7 Cup Series races in a month. You'll never see that again. That was very exciting for 6 of them. So,
and we've just about kept up as well, haven't we? Like,
yeah,
we've
not missed a
just
race
about been
yet.
Every race.
Someone has.
Oh
but
well, I missed Tuesday. Yeah, I was still there. I was there at the end to do all the stand-ins and whatnot. Don't you worry about me keeping the league running behind the scenes. And now I'm officially retired. I got more time to. Nothing will change.
No, let's not be silly here. But yeah, I think we're going to leave this one off now. And yes, next week, Belgium and Brazil. Very exciting stuff. I'll see you on Tuesday. Safe travels. Thank you for watching. Sorry to the J-Leaper fan club. And we'll see you very soon. Safe travels. Bye-bye.